everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lottie. Everything here is made with a Lottie Love. Today I'm going to show you how to make a version of this. This is an intricate die cut shaker card. And as you can see, it's got all the functionality of a shaker card. It's just a bit more of a intricate fussy cut design, so it takes a little bit of effort, but it's totally worth the end result. This is a plainer version than the one I'm going to make in the video today, but as you can see, it's striking. There's a couple of things I wanted to point out before the tutorial starts, is that in the tutorial I make a version of this card and I've used 3 layers in the inside of the card to make the shaker card edge, but with this one I used 5 layers. They both work just as well, but this one's just got a little bit more wiggle room, so that's just something to point out before you start. Secondly, this edge cutter, this edge die is still thin, but it's a slightly thicker edge, so that the glue can adhere correctly to one another. Whereas if you were going to use something like this technique's probably not going to work. I'm going to put a piece of white paper underneath so you can see. So the technique I'm going to show you may not work for something like this, because this has got really thin, flimsy sections to it, which just would not adhere well for this. Not to say that you can't use this for a shaker card in the future, and I'll show you maybe if I can work out a technique for that. But yeah, just to make you aware, this is really a thin edge. It's beautiful, but this is not going to make a shaker card with the technique I use today. This one has got a slightly thicker edge. So let's get crafting. So for this card you're going to need a 5x7 card base, a 5x7 card topper, some card scraps. I'm going to use this Crafter's Companion die. It's a corner cutter and it makes the card look like this, which is very beautiful. However, I have an extra plan for it because I like to go extra. And some acetate, and you'll need some sequins and things like that, because you'll never guess what I'm going to make. Well, I've probably already showed you in my intro. So I've got a piece of A4 card. I'm going to make a 5x7 card base, so I cut the card at 10. Turn it round and trim it at 7. I then turn it round and score at 5. And there you have your 5x7 card base. Very simple, very quick, easy, and lots of scraps. But don't worry, I have a plan for my scraps, which I will show you in the future. Now, I am going to use the die cut and cut through both sides of the card. Now, it may need some extra pressure to do so, but there we go. So I'm going to use my frog tape for paper craft, so it's low tack, but I still give it a bit of a zhuzh so it doesn't damage my cardstock. And I'm just going to tape it into place. Like so, and I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine. So that did take a couple of goes. I just used this piece of packaging that's quite thin, and so when I cut it on the first side I then flipped it over, put this down, and it also protects your card from getting any of the marks from the die plates that often I get. Now you'll see in a minute that this cuts through lovely, but also leaves me with some lovely heart shapes for future projects. Look how beautiful, look at all these hearts. And because I've done double-sided, there's extra. So I'm just going to take these out and I'll come back. So there we go, it's all cut out beautifully, lines up nicely, and this just makes my heart happy. So lots of things for future use. So now I'm going to get another 2 pieces of cardstock and cut out again. So I'm going to show you my top tip for edge cutting with your dies, the Crafter's Companion one. This is the 5x7 card topper, and if I line up this corner here, gets right on the corner there, and can you see these little lips that come off the edge of the die? They are showing you the edge of the paper, so just bring that down to there and to there, and you are going to have the perfect alignment each time. But when I said cut through the card base together, you'll always get a shift otherwise with trying to open it up and do whatever. So that was my top tip. Line it up when it's the card and cut it through both sides. Just flip it over and use an extra little something to cut through the extra layer, and then yeah, when you do the card topper itself, it lines up beautifully, and you can always trim it to whatever size you need because it's a card topper. So yeah, and then I've also done 1, 2 and 3 extras. Okay, so now we've got the card base ready, we have got the card topper ready, and we've got these 3 pieces here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these all together, and then I'm going to cut out some of the centre bits. I'm going to do it on camera so that you can see what I'm actually doing, so it doesn't get confusing. So I just need my glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the larger bits first with glue, and I'm going to glue around the small hearts, and the tops of all of the outer hearts. And in any of the smaller ones here, because I'm going to cut out a section here for the shaker card. So stick this down. and try and align it as well as I can. So this is just to save you going around each little element of the hearts with 3D tape. This is going to make your 3D section in the middle of your shaker card. And it is the easier way, I promise you. So I just wanted to make sure that that was going to work. So then, before I stick on the next layer, I'm going to definitely cut out this part. So I just want to do it so that it will look nice. So I'm going to cut into these ones. Cut into this heart here. The middle of this heart here. The middle of this heart here. Cut this little one off into this part. Cut there. I'm going to make this cut here. Try not to cut anywhere you're not wanting to. Cut here. And through there. Through here. And off with their head. And you might look at that at the minute and go, ah, what did you do? It's fine. Trust me. Trust the process, guys. I always tell you that. Because once you put the topper back on, all your hearts remain. Don't panic. I'm actually saying that because I panicked a little bit myself, but it's fine. Okay, next layer. And I'm doing it layered so that I don't cut anywhere wrong once I've kind of worked out what I need. I hope this is making sense. And actually with a shaker card you want to kind of make sure that you don't have any sharp edges because the sequins can stick. So actually what I'm going to do is once I've stuck this down, I'm going to smooth out the inner sections anyway. So again, getting any random bits off, lining it up. Use some tweezers just to make sure that everything is aligned where it should be. Okay, and because this is now getting a bit slippy slidey with all the glue, I'm going to let it dry before I cut anything. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'll get my acetate and I'm just going to get a craft knife and cut away a section like so. And that didn't even cut through, so I'm going to use that score line and use my scissors to cut through. And again on the other side, so I want 2 pieces exactly the same, and I can see it's attracting all the little bits that have come off my card, so I'm just going to give it a little wipe with a dust cloth. I have learnt the hard way not to use anything to clean acetate, so do not spray with alcohol, that cleaning alcohol, rubbing alcohol, because it makes a mess. Although if you want a petrol look on your acetate, that's what you use. Okay, so that's now dry. So I'm just going to trim this so that it's not got any jaggedy bits. And I'm actually going to round that off like so. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut into where I had previously cut the others off. And then we shall do some damage control, as in take away the sharp edges that will get in the way of our sequins. But we've got a nice thick layer here now for our shaker card case, I guess. We're going to call it a case. That's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to trim this just so it's rounded. And trim that down so it's rounded too. I'm going to, just before I do that, I want to check how that's going to look if I cut that off. So as long as I don't cut into that heart, I can cut all that off. So I'm going to do that. Oops. In fact, I'm going to cut this side. It seems to be easier somehow. Okay. Then I'm going to remove that. And remove that. Try not to snap these scissors closed and cut more than I need to. No, that's fine. And again, just round any bits where the sequins will just get stuck, you know. You want them to have space to move. Okay, so that is that bit done. Now we're going to bring in the base, and we are going to glue around in fact, I'm going to open this card up so I don't get extra glue anywhere. I should have done that anyway. So just around the edges. And because I'm sticking down the acetate first, I want to make sure that there's not going to be any gloopy bits that stick onto my acetate. So I'm going to give this a quick alcohol wipe. And place my acetate on top. I've obviously cut it way too big, but that's so that I don't have to fiddle around with anything. It just goes straight down on top like so. And I'm going to leave that to dry. Okay, so that's dry. And before I glue this down, I'm going to cut the acetate just with some scissors as carefully as I can around the edge. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the back of the card topper. So I'm just going to glue all that down, trim it round just like I did with this one. So now I am going to stick this onto here. I'm changing it up for the inside because this is the bit that you really need to stick. So I am going to use my fast tack glue and cover the back. I just find that this has a bit more super gluey kind of hold to it. So just make sure your glue is on every element, especially this edge here. Remove any bits that are leaking. And carefully as you can, and trying not to get yourself stuck to everything, line up the edge with the edge. And I'm going to use a paperweight to make sure that sticks down and just keep moving it until it's perfectly dry. Okay, so here comes the fun bit. So I've got some red sequins here, and I'm just going to try and get it in. So I might actually keep that one in there because that will have freedom of its own in there. So So some red, a couple of sprinkles of pink, I think I want majority red. I've got a couple of pearlescent white, only a couple of those because they're not very noticeable. I might even go in with a bit of hot pink. Yes. Not too heavy, but heavy enough because you want to make an impact of some kind. Okay. Just flatten them out for now before you stick anything down. Okay. Then in the little hearts that are not part of the shaker, but they are gonna show through, I'm just gonna put some glitter in these ones, and it doesn't matter if there's a bit of glue sticking it down, it's all part of the, you'll see it on the other side as well, won't you? So I've got a little bit in there, and then I'm going to leave the other ones free. Now with the scraps that we had earlier, I'm just going to make some pads to put around the edge because the height of this might be different to 3D tape, so you want it kind of, well, you want it the same level. So I'm going to home make some by simply cutting that in half and putting one on each side. So they're 3 layers thick. So we'll stick one there, we'll stick these together, stick one there, and we'll put a smaller one there as well so that it kind of sits symmetrically down. Okay, so now I'm going to add glue to the outer edge, trying not to get any of my sequins. Oh, I caught one. Two, in fact. Let's get them out the way so they don't contaminate the others. Then I'm going to quickly peel off this tape. I say quickly. As quick as I can. It's fiddly fiddly. Last bit here. Nearly knocked all the sequins flying then. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, and now I'm going to place that on top. make sure it's all aligned. And I'm just going to pop that upside down and put something heavy on the top. I'll have to go and get something to make sure it all sticks down nicely, and I'll show you after. Okay, let's have a look. Yay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I could probably have got away with removing a couple of those sequins, but it's got a good shake to it, and that's all that matters. Okay, now I've cut a piece of paper that is just under, so it's 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to flip it over, and using the die as a guide, remembering that it's slightly shorter, I'm going to draw around here and cut that, and hopefully it will sit nicely on top and we can finish the card. And remember all those little white card pieces that came out of here? Now we can do some damage control. We can just make some lovely designs here. I'm just going to have a play around. So if you've seen my short video on, it was very short, video on card inserts, I did a card insert for this card, so the 5x7 vellum and the just paper, printer paper, and I put them all together and ran that through in one go. It went through everything in one go, which was lovely, very satisfying. And then, so what I'm going to do is open up my card, get my tape runner, and just run back cover. I'm going to keep them together just so that they pretty much stay the same, and I want to line this up. Just like so. Take out the paper insert, run a line of tape runner down the inside back vellum. I need to clear my craft space. If you've seen my post, you'll see what I mean. And taking time to do this is the whole point of making a love card, is putting the love and time into it. And that is that card complete. So a very intricate cut, shaker card. You may look at that and go, that's a lot of fuss. I don't like that. But I really love that, and that's all the love put into making a card, and, well, made with a Lottie love, isn't it? Made with a Lottie love. So, there you go. If you've enjoyed that tutorial, please give me the thumbs up, leave a comment, and if I get the time, I will make a clean and simple one. Keep it white and show you what I do with that. Okay, so there it is. So I appreciate all of you being here, taking your time with me, and sending much love out into the universe and to all of you, and I'll see you soon.